Hi, my name is Naya, and this is Mindful Movement. Today, we're going to be doing a 30-minute Pilates video, and I would love it for you to follow along. This will be really basic, just kind of some of our fundamental exercises. So I hope you enjoy. We'll start lying on our backs. And in this position, think about rooting down through your anchor points, feet, pelvis, back of the rib cage, back of the shoulders, and back of the head. Allow these anchor points to weigh down a little more heavily into the floor. And as you breathe, use your inhale to allow those anchor points to deepen, draw more relaxation into the body, and a little bit more expansion into the body. And on your exhale, find your center of support, engaging your lower abs and lifting through the pelvic floor, engaging our core muscles. And just take a couple more breaths like this. Inhaling to draw more relaxation into the body, more expansion, more length. Exhaling to find our cylinder of support using our core muscles, hugging them in towards midline and then releasing. And then the next time that you exhale, draw your fingertips up towards the ceiling. We'll go into scapular reaches. Starting on the right arm, you're going to spiral the head of the arm so that the thumb starts to rotate away from midline. Lift the shoulder off the floor as you reach fingertips up towards the sky. And then unwind, drawing the shoulder back down to the floor. Switch to the other side. Left arm reaches up towards the sky, thumb rotates away from midline, and draw the shoulder back down again. We'll alternate from side to side, or arm to arm. And as you reach, allow the torso to rotate, but keep the lower body still. As you reach through one arm and then the other, you should feel a nice stretch across the back of the shoulders. One more time on each side. Good. Then take your arms out into a T position. Take your feet nice and wide, and we'll windshield wiper the knees from side to side. We're just getting a nice warm up, especially if you're starting this early in the morning. It's nice to warm up before we get into some of the more challenging core work. All right, bring your feet back to about sits bones to hip width apart, arms down by your sides. And from here, we're going to think about tucking the pelvis, imprinting the lower back into the floor, and then tucking the pelvis the opposite way, tipping it towards the back of the heels. Then we'll rock back and forth like a gentle rocking chair, tipping north towards the head and south towards the feet. And as you do so, find that cylinder of support again, engaging your core muscles to allow the movement to happen. And then the next time that you come back to center, we'll take that movement from side to side, right to left, allowing the back side of the pelvis on the right side to dip down into the floor, and then opposite side, left side dips down into the floor. So you're creating this little teeter-totter motion, kind of like a scale and balance. One side weighs down heavily, and then the other side weighs down heavily. And as you do this, see if you can keep the lower body, particularly the legs, quiet as the pelvis rocks from right to left. And then come back to center. Keep your arms down by your sides. Draw one leg to a bend, 90-degree bend at the knee, 90-degree bend at the hip. And then the other. This is called tabletop. Keep long spine. And on your exhale, tap your big toe down to the floor and inhale back up again. And tap on the exhale, inhale back to your start. As you continue with what we call toe taps, think about staying long through the spine and keeping your pelvis in a neutral position. If you feel your lower back start to pull away from the floor, you might choose to make sure that you're using your lower abs to stabilize the pelvis. You might also decide to make your movements a little bit slower and perhaps a little smaller with your leg. Let's switch to the other side. Tapping down and returning. Using your core muscles to keep the spine, pelvis stable as the legs hinge in the hip joint. And 4, 3, 2, and last one. And then we'll lower both legs down to the floor, slowly and with control. Don't let your lower back pull away from the floor as you bring the feet down. We're going to take the right knee and draw it away from midline, coming into a knee drop. We're keeping our pelvis stable, so those bony landmarks at the front of the pelvis, they should be facing straight up towards the sky. And then use your inner thigh to draw the leg back again. So allow the knee to come down towards the floor slowly and with control, and then draw it back again. So one of the principles of Pilates is having control and precision in the movement. Pilates was called controlology before it was named after Joseph Pilates. So part of moving mindfully through the practice is having control over the movements versus just flopping the knee to the floor and flailing around. One more time on this side, and then we'll go to the other side. And left knee draws away from midline. You're coming to the outer border of the foot and then drawing back to your start position again. Keep length through the back of the neck, soft through the front of the chest, relaxed in the shoulders. And we'll do 3 more on the left side for 3 and 2 and last one. And then keep the soles of the feet planted down into the floor, toes spread nice and wide. Clasp your hands at the base of your skull, and you might even walk your rib cage away from your hips. Take your shoulder blades and spread them wide across the back of the rib cage, and take your elbows so that you can see them in your periphery. They're about a 45-degree angle from your armpits. Let the head weigh heavily in the hands. And I tend to give lots of cues because it's really important the way in which you do things, not just what you're doing. So as we go into our head floats here, focus on keeping the head heavy in the hands so that the neck isn't doing the work that the lower abs should be doing. On your next exhale, co-contract, meaning that you're lifting through the pelvic floor, drawing lower abs to spine, engaging little tiny spinal extensor muscles of the spine, and you'll tilt your chin towards your chest and curl up. And then lower on the inhale, just below the shoulder blades, exhale to curl back up again. And with each exhale, you'll curl up. Inhale, coming back down. Exhale to curl up. Inhale, back down. 3 more here. And 2. On this last one, you'll hold, staying in your head float. Bring your right leg and then your left leg back to that tabletop position. 90-degree bend at the hips and the knees. And we're going to tap the right toe down. And we're going to stay on the right side. 3 more here. 3, 2, 1. Stay curled up left side. 3 more here for 3, 2, 1. And then gently draw your knees into your chest and let your head come back to the floor. You might choose to rock from side to side here, getting a nice massage of the lower back. And then we'll keep the right knee drawn in towards the chest. Left leg is going to reach long at about a 45-degree angle. If you feel your lower back pull away from the floor, then you might draw your leg up a bit higher so that you can keep your spine protected. You can keep your head on the floor if this bothers your neck at all. Otherwise, you'll curl up. Take your outside hand and reach to that outside ankle of the the right leg. And then on your next exhale, switch legs. Draw left knee in towards the chest as you reach the right leg long. Alternate from side to side. So as I was saying when we first started our session, this is going to be pretty basic Pilates. We don't need any props for today. but I will give you some options for props if you choose to use them. All right, continuing here, we've got 3 more on each side for 3, 2, 1. Draw knees into chest, roll back down, massage the lower spine. We're going to do one more set of those, and we'll add on some variation going into crisscross, working the obliques. So we'll get some rotation of the upper spine. On your next exhale, we'll curl up, reach the right leg long this time. Outside the hand is reaching to the outside of the left ankle, and then switch. As you draw one knee in and reach through the opposite leg, you're keeping the pelvis stable, and you're keeping the lower spine imprinted into the floor. Feel free to stay here, or you'll clasp your hands at the base of the skull. And the next time you bring the left knee in, you're going to rotate to the left. And right knee comes in, rotate right. This is crisscross, working the obliques, keeping pelvis stable as the upper body spirals from side to side and the legs hinge in the hip joint. One more time on each side. Back to center, draw knees into chest, roll back down, and rock from side to side. You might also take your legs down to the floor, arms out into a T, and windshield wiper your legs from side to side. All right, let's take the feet sits bone distance apart. So the sits bones are just those bony landmarks of the pelvis that we sit upon. A little bit more narrow than hip width apart. Toes are spread wide. And we'll go into glute bridges, or otherwise known as neutral bridges. So on your next exhale, press down into the soles of the feet, engage your glutes, lift your pelvis up off the floor, opening through the front of the hips. And then on your inhale, lengthen the spine to come back down to the floor. Exhale, press up. Inhale, return. So if you have a ball or a pillow or a yoga block, you might want to place that between your knees to help support proper leg alignment, engaging your inner thighs to keep the ball from falling, making sure that the knees are in line with the second toe of the foot. So you're welcome to use props for that, or just focus on using your inner thighs in order to keep the knees in alignment. If your knees start to splay out to the sides, you know you need a little bit more inner thigh or adductor engagement. If you want to add on more challenge, you'll cross your hands over your chest as you continue your bridges. And we'll do 3 more here for 3, 2. On this last one, you have the option of adding on. You're going to press up into your bridge, root down through your left foot, and extend your right leg long. Hold here for 3, 2, 1. Bring your foot to the floor, ground down through the sole of the foot, open through the front of the hips. Keep your hips square to the sky as you reach your left leg into extension at about knee height for 3, 2, 1. And bring the sole of the foot back to the floor, and then inhale, traction the spine as you sit back down again. Lovely. Take your arms down by your sides. We're going to roll onto our side to do a little sideline work. So as in life, sometimes transitions can be challenging. As we transition from different positions, like lying on your back in supine to sideline, just make sure that you're moving with integrity in the body and keeping the breath at the forefront of your mind. When we get into sideline position, you might choose to use a yoga block or pillow to support the head to keep the neck in alignment, or you might just use your arm depending upon what's available to you. You're going to lengthen through the entire side body, and notice that it's easy to collapse in the waistline if we just completely relax. So you're actually engaged through the entire body, lengthening as much as you can. And then reaching through the heels to lengthen through the back of the legs. You'll draw the top leg up to hip height. Make sure you can relax in the upper body, particularly the top shoulder and the top side of the neck. Let your foot relax. And we'll do little tiny circles here. Leg circles, specifically working glute medius And this is one of those muscles that is so important for so many different movements in the hip joint. We want to make sure we're taking good care of it. Sometimes it doesn't do the job it's meant to do. Other muscles take over, and that can lead to challenges in the body. All right, so with these circles, make them as slow and small as possible, and then smooth them out. You might find that keeping the pelvis from moving while the leg moves poses a challenge. Draw lower belly to spine to help support that stability of the pelvis as the leg moves. And then circle your leg the other direction. See if you can find any more relaxation in the upper body. The neck and the shoulder don't need to engage to move the leg. And 5 more here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to flex the foot here, keeping it in line with the hip. Kick the leg forward, point the toes, and press the leg back. So we're going to do a double kick forward, foot flexed, and then point the toes, press back for 1. And it's kick, kick, point. Traditional Pilates breathing is sniff, sniff through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Sniff, sniff, exhale. Remember, just like when we're doing our leg circles, pelvis is stable. So we're using our core muscles to keep the spine and the pelvis stable as we move the leg. As you bring the leg back behind you, you might notice that the lower back wants to arch. Use your abs to make sure that doesn't happen. Last one here. Kick, kick, and point, and then bring the leg back in line with the side body and down to the floor. If you have a ball, like the pink ball I have in the corner here, or a pillow or yoga block, you might choose to place that between your ankles right now. Otherwise, you're just going to squeeze the legs together from the upper inner thighs all the way down to the inner border of the foot. We're going to work our adductors or inner thighs here now. So we'll start by lifting both legs up off the floor to hover just about an inch above the floor. And then from here, lifting up as high as you can without collapsing in the waistline. It might be about hip height, it might be a bit higher. And then come down again to hover above the floor. And exhale as you lift, inhale as you lower. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Lower belly draws to spine. Keep length throughout the spine. Relax on the top side of the neck and the shoulder. You're doing a great job. We're going to do 5 more here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. And come down and rest. We're going to draw our knees forward now to get more length through the lower spine. Again, be mindful that you're not sagging in the waistline, so you're going to really reach through the top side body. And then spiral the heels together, drawing the top of the leg into external rotation. We're doing clam shells here. So on your exhale, draw lower belly to spine and draw the top leg open. You're still squeezing the heels together. Knee is reaching up towards the sky. And then come back to your start position. Don't let the top leg collapse on the bottom leg. Exhale as you open, squeeze the heels together, getting those little hip rotators, and inhale back to your start position. We'll continue here. Exhaling as you open, inhale to return, keeping the movement fluid and steady. Consistent squeeze on the heels. And 8 more. And 6, 5, 4. Keep the squeeze and the heels open, the knee up towards the sky as much as you can. Last one here. Good, then reach the legs long and we're gonna switch to the other side. So find your length through the side body. And you might have your arm out straight or you might have the elbow bent resting on top of the upper arm. Lengthen through the entire side body, reaching long. Lower belly is drawn to spine. And then we'll float the top leg up to hip height. The foot relaxes, so I'm not actually turning the foot down to the floor, but as I relax the foot, gravity does its job. Let it kind of just flop there, making the work happen in the hip joint. And then we'll do our little circles, keeping them slow, steady, smooth. Keep using your abs to keep the hips stacked on top of each other and the side body long. And 5 more here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and switch to go the other way. See if you can make your circles a little slower, a little smoother. And then just check in with the breath, noticing how it can support the movement, noticing how it can change your posture and alignment. See if you can use the breath to draw more length into the body. And 2 more circles here for 2 and 1. And then we're keeping the leg at hip height, flexing the foot, drawing the foot forward, and then pointing the toes and sending the leg back behind us. We're going to kick forward for 2 and point the toe, press back for 1. So the leg swings like a pendulum in the hip joint. And once again, traditional Pilates breathing. Sniff, sniff through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Sniff, sniff, exhale. And sniff, sniff, exhale. Beautiful. Continue here. We've got 2 more. 2 and 1. And back to center. Oh, I'm losing my voice. All right, squeeze the legs together from upper inner thighs all the way down to the inner borders of the feet. This is a place where you can use a block, ring, or any other prop in between the ankles to help engage and really draw the inner thighs towards each other, or just get that squeeze going. And lift the legs so they hover about an inch off the floor, and lift and lower here. Staying long through the side body, particularly the top side body. So just as a demonstration, if I'm collapsing here, then I've gone too far. I want to keep length through the top side body. So the leg movement might be smaller than you would think here. Exhale as you lift. Inhale to return. Let the movement be fluid and take just as long to come down as it does to draw the legs up. And 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Let the legs come to the floor. Bend the knees. Find more length in the lower spine. Make sure hips are still stacked. And then spiral the heels so that they're squeezing in. You're in Pilates small V or first position, and knees are open. You'll start by drawing the top knee up towards the sky, and then come back to your start position for clamshells. Keep a squeeze in the heels the whole time. That'll activate the little tiny hip rotators. Losing my train of thought. That work basically the lower butt area. So that's kind of where you are probably feeling this. The more you squeeze the heels together, you're also going to be working your glute medius. Continue here. So this is kind of your basic clamshell exercise. If you want to add more challenge, you can always lift the bottom foot up off the floor, but be very mindful that you're not collapsing in the waist by doing so. So keep the integrity of the movement if you want to add variation. Don't just let fun choreography distract you from the purpose of the movement. We want to stay long through the side body, otherwise the lower back starts doing more of the work that's supposed to be happening in the hip. 3 more here for 3, 2, and last one. Nice. And then we'll do a nice little stretch. A couple different options here, but let's do a seated option. So you'll sit with your legs forward in front of you, really grounding down to the sits bones, nice long spine, and you're going to cross one leg over the other. You can take the opposite hand and place it on the outside of the knee, or you can use your elbow and place it on the outside of the knee as you rotate your gaze behind you, looking over the opposite shoulder. Take your back hand, root it down into the floor, giving you a little extra length through the spine as you do so. And then come back through center, and we'll switch to the other side. Getting a nice stretch to those hips that we were just working. So once again, you can kind of hug your knee in towards your belly, or you can take your elbow to the outside, getting a little deeper rotation, looking over the opposite shoulder. And then returning back to your start position. Another option would be doing a figure 4 stretch, lying on your back, and I particularly like this one. There are lots of variations of it. Crossing right ankle over the top of your left thigh and keeping your hips square to the sky here. So if you find that the pelvis is starting to rotate, you might choose a different variation of this, like having your foot up against the wall, helping stabilize you. You're welcome to stay here, or you can also draw the thigh in towards the chest. So this is stretching the area of the hip that we just worked. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Uncross the leg, left ankle crosses over the top of the right thigh. And this might be plenty. So you might just choose to stay here and really focus on keeping length in the spine, keeping the back of the pelvis weighing down into the floor, externally rotating that left leg. Or you might feel like you want a little bit more from this, and you'll draw the right thigh in towards the chest, clasping the fingertips either behind the thigh, or you can also bring them to the front of the shin if that's available for you. And then you'll bring the foot down to the floor, other foot down to the floor, and we'll come back to our seated position once again, legs reaching out in front of us. We're going to do spinal twist. Arms are going to come out into a T position. Lengthen through the spine as much as you can. Imagine that you have a string from the crown of your head drawing you up towards the sky. Shoulders slide down the back of the rib cage. And then as you ground down through the sits bones, you're going to take your gaze to one side of the room, keeping long spine, and draw back to center. And take your gaze to the other side of the room and draw back to center. Be mindful of your sits bones really grounding down. Sometimes we want to lift one hip or the other as we rotate. See if you can keep them firmly planted down into the floor. One more time to each side. And drawing back to center, take your arms down by your sides, and then find your most comfortable seated position. That might be cross-legged, that might be on your knees, whatever feels best in your body. We're going to start by keeping length through the back of the neck. One hand is going to press down into the floor. Opposite arm is going to reach up towards the sky. And then we're going to side bend over, reaching fingertips to the side of the room. So versus down, we're thinking about getting as much length as we can. Push into the palm that's on the floor to get more of a translation of the rib cage and more opening through the side of the rib cage. Nice deep breath here. And then exhale, coming back up to center and switch to the other side. Grounding down through the hand that's pressing into the floor. Shoulder slides down the back of the rib cage so you can see a gentle bend in the elbow here. Reach the opposite arm up towards the sky and then side bend over. Breathe deeply into the lungs to expand through the rib cage. And then on your next exhale, rise coming back to center. Roll the shoulders back behind you. Allow them to slide down the back of the rib cage. And we'll close out together here. On your next inhale, sweep arms up overhead, filling the bases of lungs with air. And on your exhale, bring palms together and to heart center. Thank you all so much for joining me for our 30-minute Pilates class today. I am Naya from Mindful Movement, and I hope that you move mindfully throughout the rest of your day. Nice work here. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here.